Hi geometry students, how are you today? It's Monday afternoon. Thank you for being patient waiting for my lesson. I just wanted to hold up my little dog Rosie for you to meet the one that makes all the click 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 noise on the floor. There's another dog too, maybe you can meet him another day, but she's our darling little poodle. She doesn't make many other noises except she barks when there's someone at the door, and then it's very loud and disruptive. So anyway, she's just trying to protect us. We know that. She's a wonderful dog. All right, Rosie, you can go on your way. So I wanted to say a prayer with you before we start. Father in heaven, I just thank you for my geometry students. I pray for all of them to focus and learn all of this material really well, that they would do excellent on their Chapter 10 test, as well as on Chapter 11, and you'd strengthen me and help me right now to be the very best teacher I can be. Thank you that you're faithful. In Jesus' name, amen. All right, so we're going to go right to the video now. I'm going to sit down and not be visible anymore and open up the screen. Hey, Nicole, would you come look and make sure this looks good here?
Yep.
Is it in the middle?
It's tilted a little. I'm going to try to adjust it. You're also in the...
How's that?
Yeah. There we go. That is brilliant. We'll zoom in a little. That's
Okay.
great.
All right, well, we're starting Chapter 11, and this chapter is
dang it.
about...
Sorry, I moved it. I kicked it. Okay.
Okay, here we are. Measuring length and area of different shapes. So the first day is always really easy. Take out a piece of paper and you're going to want to write down these formulas. We have the area of a triangle, which is 1/2 base times height. The area of a square, which is side squared. The area of a rectangle, which is length times width. And the area of a parallelogram, which is base times height. Now I want to talk about a few things. The first thing is how you find the height of a triangle. I'm going to focus in on these little pictures here. Here's my triangle. The base is the horizontal distance along the bottom. Now what is the height? The height is always the perpendicular distance to the base. So that's going to be right here in this picture. It is not the slant. That is not the height. Not height. Hope you can read that. Okay, so we do not want the slant, only the perpendicular distance. So if I had a triangle like this, there really isn't one inside to this base down here. So what you have to do is draw one outside of the triangle, which is totally fine, and right here is our perpendicular distance. So the height would be right there. It is not this slant, and it's not that slant. The only distance marked in this picture that's perpendicular to the base is this height right here. Okay? And side squared is pretty easy to follow. Feel free at any time to pause the video, to rewind the video, because I just keep talking. It takes a long time to do these videos, and the sooner we can finish up, the better for you. So, but please use the video to your discretion, whatever you need. Okay, so the area of a square is the side squared, and down here I want to talk about the height again for a parallelogram. Here's my base, and the height is only going to be the perpendicular distances to the base. So here I have it coming down. I'm going to change colors really fast. Okay, that's going to be right here. That's the height that is perpendicular to this base right along here. Or outside of the parallelogram, I can drop this height, and that is perpendicular to this base here, and I drew this line out here. The shape itself, I'm outlining in black right now. You can have a height, like in the triangle, outside of the shape. That's okay. Okay, so you should write all of those down. You can pause this video to do that, and then we're going to start with some examples. Okay, so I want to, before we start with an example, I want to talk about an idea. If I have a square, that would be side squared, or another way I could say it would be base times height, right? If I wanted to find an area of half of that, I would cut my square in half, and I wanted just half of it. To find that area would be half the base times the height, wouldn't it? Well, guess what? Look at what shape that is. That's a triangle. And what is the formula for a triangle? Half base times height. That's where mathematicians get these things. So you see, every triangle, no matter what shape it is, can be doubled into either a square, a rectangle, or a parallelogram. And a triangle is always half. Okay? So let's keep going. Here's number one. I want to find the area of parallelogram PQRS. And here's my picture. Let's see, it's going to look like this. Okay, PQRS. And they give us many things in the picture. They tell us that this is 12, this is 6, there's a perpendicular distance here that is 4, and let's see, also they tell us that this distance here is 8. Okay. So I want to find the area of PQRS. So I have my area formula is base times height for a parallelogram. Where is my base and my height? Well, I actually can do this in two ways. If PS is the base, so if PS is the base, then I would have this distance here, 6, my base times height. I would have 6 here for the B. And then what distance is perpendicular to PS? Well, this one coming down over here is the 8. So it would be 6 times 8, which is 48. Now I'm going to change colors again. Now, what if SR is the base? So let's look at that. SR, that could also be a base. I would need the perpendicular distance to SR. Now, PQ is 12, so that means SR is 12. See that? They always have opposite sides being the same. I think someone just got hurt outside. I think that was Nicole. I hope she's okay. Are you okay? We could hear you. All right, she's going to be fine. Okay, so the area is going to be the base, which is 12. Now the height will be 4.
Okay.
Now, do you see that my area is the same? It's the same answer as long as I use my base and height correctly. And we wanted to do that on purpose. Okay. Number 2. I'm going to change colors again.
Hey, Nicole.
Hey dear, we're taping right now. Find the area of triangle PQR. So I have this PQR. Okay, and this is 5 and this is 13. All right, so we have a different problem here. Now I can see, I'm going to change colors again really quickly, that RQ is the base and PR is the height. 13 is the hypotenuse, but it's not my base or my height. And I can tell that the height is 5. Okay, that's PR. Now the base I don't know. So I need to find that. But I have a clue, and that is I have a right triangle. And what's true of a right triangle? The Pythagorean theorem. So I can use the Pythagorean theorem to find this missing side. So I have 5 squared plus RQ squared, which I don't know, equals 13 squared. So I have 25 plus RQ squared equals 169. Okay, so I'm going to subtract 25, and I have RQ squared equals 144, and I take the square root, and I get RQ is 12. So now I know RQ is 12, which is great. I need that. That's not my answer. Remember, the question is find the area. So I now have the base. The base is 12. So the area is going to be 1/2 base times height. So I'm going to have 1/2 times 12 times 5. And when I work that out, I get 30. So there's my answer. Okay, we're going to do 2 more. And 3 more, and then I'm going to give you some OYOs. So here's number 3. The base of a triangle is twice its height. The area of the triangle is 36 inches squared. Find the base and height. Okay. Why don't you go ahead and write that down? All right, let's talk about it. The base of a triangle is twice the height. So that means if the base was 10, then the height would be 5. Or the base is, yeah, okay. So if the base was 100, then the height would be 50. If the base was 20, the height would be 10. So that always helps me to figure out what the equation would be, because the base is twice the height. I want to make it equal. So whatever the base is, what do I have to do to the height in order to make it equal or balanced? Well, if the height is 5, how many of those do I need? I need to multiply by 2. If the height is 50, to make it equal to 100, I multiply by 2 every time. So whatever the height is, I multiply by 2. So it probably looks something like this. Here's the height, and then whatever the base is, it's 2 of the height. All right. Now, this sounds kind of difficult, but it really isn't that hard. So let's keep going. We're going to write down our area formula. And I can only have one letter in an equation to figure it out. So I'm going to have the area is 1/2, and I'm going to take the b out, and I'm going to substitute my 2h in for that. And write down the h. So now I'm going to multiply. 1/2 times 2 is just 1, and then h times h is h squared. Now we were given some more information. So right now I have 2 letters. The area of the triangle is 36, so I can put that in. Well, now it's pretty easy. So I'm going to take the square root of both sides, and the height is 6. But what does the question say? Find the height and the base. So if the height is 6, the base is going to be 2 times the height, which is 2 times 6, and that's 12. So there's my answers, 6 and 12. All right, and let's see, that's number 3. We have a timer going off in the background. All right, we're going to do another one. Number 3, here's a practical application. I'm going to read it out loud and draw the picture. You need to buy paint so that you can paint the side of a barn. Oh, all right, so you got a barn. Someday you're going to have to paint it. Okay, there's the side of our barn. A gallon of paint covers 350 square feet. Okay, a gallon covers 350 square feet. How many gallons should you buy? How many gallons should you buy? Okay, there we go. Now in the picture, these are perpendicular. I hope so. That barn is going to fall down pretty fast. Okay. Here's what makes a little 3D there for you. And this side is 18, so that makes this side 18 feet. And this is 26. And this is 26. Okay. And do they give us anything else? Oh, yes. All right. So this is a right angle here, and these two are the same. All right. So I'm going to change colors. Let's go to red. Red barn. That sounds like fun. All right. So I'm going to have 2 pieces to find the area of the side of my barn. So the first one is a rectangle. And that is 18 times 26, which is, let's see, 468. Okay, so I have this taken care of. Now I just covered over that. That's 26. Now there's a couple of things in my picture that are hints that I need you to see. I wish I could ask you, because I know you guys are super smart and I wouldn't even have to tell you. The first thing is that I have a right angle, and the second thing is it's a triangle, and the third thing is these 2 sides are the same. That helps me a lot. All right, if I have a right triangle, what's true? Pythagorean theorem. Okay, now I know that both sides are the same. if they're the same, I can use the same letter. We have someone arriving at the door, and there's the barking I was telling you about. You got a test. Okay. Somebody dropped off a test. That happens a lot. Thank you, Nicole. Okay, let's keep going. As I was saying, if these two sides are the same length, I can use the same letter to represent them. So instead of using a squared, I'm going to use x squared. And instead of using b squared, I'm going to use x squared because they are both the same. Now, I can add these two together since they're the same letter. So I've got 2x squared equals 26 squared, and that is 676, just so you know. Now let's solve for x squared. So I'm going to divide by 2. X squared equals 338. Take the square root, and I get x is approximately 18.3 if you use a calculator. And of course, it can't be negative because it's a length. All right, so the question is, how many gallons should I buy? Now, all that did was give me this length here. So let's keep going. I need the area of my triangle. So I have area is 1/2, 18.3 times 18.3. And when I multiply that all together, I get 167.44. Okay, so my first area is 468. Oh, it ran off the page. Sorry about that. The second one is 167. So I'm going to round that up because I want to have enough paint. Would technically with a 4, I would round that down. But with paint, you always want to have a little more, right? So got to keep it real world situation here. So I'm going to add these two together, and I get 636 feet squared. Okay, that's the total area of the barn. And I know from the question that I have 350 square feet per gallon. So I'm going to take 636 and divide that by 350, and I get about, I'll just tell you, 1.81. So I would round that up to 2 gallons of paint. All right. Now, some of you wonder when you're ever going to use geometry. Even a farmer needs to know, because a lot of farmers have a barn and most barns need to be painted, and you don't want to just guess and not buy enough paint. You don't want to buy too much paint because that's a waste of money. Who needs to go more than once to Home Depot? And so here's your example. The answer is 2 gallons. All right, we're going to do one more. That was number 4. I'm going to change colors again, back to black. And we're going to do number 5. Okay, find the area. And I have this picture that looks like this. All right, it's this odd shape. Now there's several hints given in the picture that will help me to figure out the area. Okay, I've got parallel lines here, and I have parallel lines here, and this is 10. This is 40, This is 26, and this is 20. All right, so I'm going to write a little plan. I'm going to say that my whole figure is called A, F, B, C, E, D. That's a lot of points. Basically all the way around. I could simplify that. Let's simplify it. Let's just do the corners. A, F, C, E. That is going to be the sum total of triangle AFB plus my parallelogram ABCD plus the triangle DCE. Now I wrote that plan because then I can break it up into parts and do each one and always refer back to make sure I do them all. So the first thing I'm going to do is triangle AFB. Now look there. Now I'm going to change colors. Let's use a different color. How about bright green? Okay. Let's look right here at this triangle. Okay. Now, if I have a parallelogram, this side is the same. So this would be 26. And that's going to help me immensely because AFB is a right triangle. So then I can find AF by using the Pythagorean theorem. So I'm going to have AF squared plus 10 squared equals 26 squared. So I don't know AF, but I do know 100, and 26 squared is, that's equals 676, okay? So now I subtract 100, and I get AF squared equals 576. Take the square root, and AF is 24. Okay, so that helps me a lot. I can write 24 over here. So my area is going to be 1/2 base times height. Now I have the height, so it's 1/2 times 10 times 24, and I get for an answer 120. So I have 120 for the first part. Now, let's see. If I know that is 24, that's going to help me a lot, isn't it? Because I'm going to look at the next piece. I'm going to change colors again. I want to look at parallelogram ABCD. All right, so that's right here. A, B, C, D. That's a parallelogram. We know this because of the markings. So that means that my formula for the area is going to be base times height. Now I already, look at this here. So here's my shape. And what's the height? Well, it's going to be the perpendicular distance. So I can extend both sides out here, and that is 24, isn't it? So the 24 didn't just help me for the triangle AFB, it also helped me for the height of the parallelogram. All right, so my base is going to be 40, and my height is going to be 24. And when I multiply those together, I get 960. Okay, let's change colors again. How about blue? Let's go back up here. What's my last piece? I've done this one. I've done ABCD. The last one is triangle DCE. Okay, so that's right here. And I know the base is 20 already. What's the height? Well, my height of 24 comes in handy again, I can redraw that over here. If it's 24 here, it will be 24 here. And that will give me the height of my triangle. Okay, so I'm going to go, let's see, I'm going to actually squeeze this in right here so that we can keep looking at the picture. So my area is 1/2 base times height. So that is going to be 1/2 the base times the height, which is 24, and I get 240. Okay, so now I'm going to add it all up. So my figure AFCD is going to be, the area is going to be 120 plus 96 plus 240, and I add those all together and I get 320. All right, I'm going to give you a few OIOs and you can get started. So let's write them all down. Find the area. Number 1. Sorry, my picture isn't very good. So there's number 1. Here's number 2. And here is number 3. You have to paint the back of an A-frame house. All right, so you're going to paint this shape as well as the deck out front. So these are right angles here, and this is 30, this is 38, this is 38, and this is 9. So go ahead and do those. You can pause the video, and I'm just going to keep going. So please pause the video and try those OIOs. Alrighty, so we're back having tried those OIOs. Let's go over the answers. So the numbers I need here are 8 and 21. So the area is going to be 1/2 8 times 21, which is 4 times 21, which is 84. Number 2, you need base times height. So that area is 17 times 30, which is 510. And then number 3, let's do that. Now, I need my height right here. And I'm going to use the Pythagorean theorem. So I'm going to draw this like this. And this is going to be 15. What I don't